Okay, well, I've brought the legs up to their 90 position here, and this is the new reference line that I've just scribed. So I'm putting it up at 90. I'm bringing in a 3.5 inch spacer, and I'm going to bring this down until we start seeing that line. And I'm just using a small square here to get that perpendicular to that surface, and there it is. Now what I'm going to do is hold my pencil at that point, and I'm going to move the leg down and move it back up without moving the pencil, and I'm just scribing an arc right here. So hopefully you can see that arc. What we need to achieve here is we're going to have a 3/4 piece in right here to here down the original one. We just need to make sure that whatever piece we put in vertical length here stays within this arc. And I'll give the final dimensions after I determine that, and we'll put this together, and then we'll really be able to move on. Alright, well, I verified everything was sweeping fine without contacting, and it looks good. So I'm going to show you what I'm laying out right now. This is the original 3-inch piece between here and here. I've come in 5/8 of an inch. That is going to be a fastener. The midpoint will be a fastener, as well as from this end in 5/8 will be a fastener. This piece right here between here and here is going to be 1 3/8 inches long, and it will have one fastener in it, which is 5/8 inch in from the end. Now, instead of ripping down what I already have, I had a little bit of scrap, so I'll take this down to that dimension, and then these will be glued and screwed together, and I'll note the fastener placement of those, and then it will be cut to length, and then it will be installed. Okay, well, this piece is ready to roll. It ended up being 13 1/4 is what I needed here, so that's been cut down. I ripped a scrap through my table saw to 1 3/8. That's going to be the T. The holes that I've drilled and countersunk in here were 1 inch from the end, and then from this point 2 13/16. The center, the same from the other end. It comes in 1 inch, and then from that point it comes in 2 13/16. So I've got my glue on here, and I'm just kind of put some on and let it take what it wanted, and then I've added a little bit more. So I'm going to place these two together, screw it down, and this will be finished. The T-brace has been screwed together and glued. Everything's looking good. I'm getting ready to pierce these 3 holes right here. These are coming in from the end 3/4 of an inch, and they're of course just in the center of the board, 3/8 of an inch in. I needed longer screws for this. I failed to mention that in my material list, and 3 are the only ones that I have here, and probably 2.5 would be better, but this is what I've got, so this is what I'm going to do. And to mark the layout of these on the other side, I'm just going to run through here with a pilot bit, shoot them through, and then I'll come back the other way with a countersink. And then on the leg that's towards me, when I go to install it, I'll just simply lay them down side by side, and I'll trace around it and basically make this pattern, move it out of the way, and then I'll pierce the holes from the inside. Alright, well, I have this one side all fastened up. Those coarse deck screws actually worked really good. I have one split down here, but that was not from the screw that I just put in. That was from the one coming up. I think I'm going to switch over at some point and start using coarse screws in this MDF. I probably should have been doing that. I just always used fine. It just seems to be what I've always had around. But I wanted to go back into how this would actually be laid out if you had your piece pre-made. The first thing you would do is bring this down and just let it barely clip this edge right here and hold itself. Space this up 1/4 of an inch, and then you can scribe everything you can get to, and then you can take that out of the way and finish your diagram, and then mark out your holes on this side, run a pilot bit all the way through, turn around and come back and do your countersink, and then you can hold this up there and hit 3 marks, and then you can take this off and finish pre-drilling your holes in this. So just a little idea there on how to get this thing set in the proper position. So now I'm getting ready to work on the other side, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. Alright, well here's the other side that I need to attach. I've just raised this out and just set it all the way down, brought it forward where it wants to sit, and did the same thing, making sure I scissored the leg out properly. And simple, I'll just go around this and make my marks where this one is, and then I'll measure for my holes. I'll drill through the outside, I'll turn around and come back and put in my countersinks. I'll dimple these, I'll move this out of the way, finish pre-drilling my holes, and then I can glue it and run the screws in. Well, okay, the brace has been put in now. I've just kind of got it set in here. If I were to make a design change, it would be right here in this arena. I left this little gap right here, so if there was any deviation in the legs as they were coming down, they wouldn't bind up on this part of the leg. So I left that as a clearance. Rethinking that, I probably should have brought this all the way out to this edge, and that would have given me 100% contact right here to back up where those fasteners are at. So that may have been a little bit better, but I think it's going to work. You know, I'm not going to be standing on this thing. It's going to hold the planer and a piece of wood that's going through it. So I think this will be robust enough. We are nearing completion. I need to reinstall the runners, and then this part will be complete. And then I have 2 cross supports that go across the legs on the bottom. We'll install those. Alright, well these are pieces 9. They're 18 7/8 long. These are the cross supports for the legs, and I said that I was getting ready to put them on, but I lied. I need to run an 1/8 inch round over on both surfaces of these first. Then we'll get back to gluing and screwing these on, as well as their positioning. Alright, well those pieces have been rounded over. Now we're finally ready to lay these out and fasten them on. There's going to be one on the top and one on the bottom like this, but they're going to need to be fastened properly or your legs won't open. So on the one on the top right here, it will be fastened to the inside legs, and the one on the bottom will be fastened to the outside legs. And what I'm going to do is just take 2 washers right now, and hopefully this shows up. I'm just slipping them right down in here and then pushing the leg back out. That's going to make sure everything is in line. I'm doing that on both sides, and these are going to be a 1/2 inch down from this front edge. So I'm just stacking some parallels in here to give me that. Okay, well that will give me my 1/2 inch. I'll just center this from side to side and make sure it's got an equal distance. And then this top one, like I said, will be fastened to the inside legs. And I'll come in 3/4 of an inch down, 3/4 of an inch up, and I'll put 2 screws right in here. I'll do the same thing on the other side. The one on the bottom will be spaced down a 1/2 inch, side to side, adjusted, and it as well will get 2 screws that start in at the proper place and fasten to the outside legs. So that should give a clear enough picture. I'll shoot a quick shot after it's assembled. These will also be glued and screwed down. Alright, well these braces have now been installed. This isn't 100% complete. I still have a few holes to drill. I just haven't really figured that part out yet because I'm leading up to it. So we will be going back and maybe even taking these braces back out to find the spots that I need to drill those holes. So I'll just show you real quick how it articulates. And that's it. I'm going to flip it around and get it on the floor. Alright, well I've got it down laying on its side. I'm going to show you the procedure I'm going to use to open it up so we don't have to really pick it up. Just bring the leg out like this. Bring the scissor down. Just putting my feet right here. And there we go. And it is fairly robust. That's about 180 pounds of pure love right there sitting on it, so it seems like it's going to work quite well. Some folks may be wondering why all the complexity. Why not just whip out a simple stand and put your table on it and be done with it? Well, the short answer is space. I'm cramped for space, so this is something I can knock down and throw in a corner and break it out and set it up as needed. I don't have the luxury of a 40 by 40 shop. I can't even do woodworking in the shop that I'm in. I had to erect a temporary building just to keep my house project moving. And once that's finished and I tear that thing down, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'll be able to store it in my other outbuilding, all my equipment, but I won't be able to use it unless I drag it out into the yard on a nice day. Which I don't mind doing that, but it's kind of a pain. So, space. That's the main reason. Okay, well I was getting ready to start working on the feed table, and I was double checking some of my measurements, and I'm a little bit proud on this by a 1/16 of an inch. So I need to rip these down and knock a 1/16 off here, and that will set it up at the right height for my planer. Obviously everybody's would be different. Even if you have the same model, you know, I would recommend checking this. So I will lop those off and then we'll start moving forward. Okay, well here's the top. This should be part number 1. And then I have a couple part number 3s. I've come in from each end 31 inches and scribed a line all the way across and then made an X on the outsides of each lines. And that's where these are actually going to sit, right here. The jointer is going to take up this space. As I'm putting this together, this section will be filled in as we assemble it, and then I'll come back and take it out after it's assembled. But I am going to have to put part of this together and then take some of it apart because I'm putting the galvanized steel on the top. I'm going to have fasteners running down, so I need all these supports put in place, and I'll put the sides on with just a few fasteners, and then I'll make sure everything is good. Then I'll take the sides off, and then I'll line the top and then put the sides back on after I trim it to fit. Hope all that makes sense. It will. So what I'm going to do now is transfer these lines around to the top side, and then I'll move over 3/8 of an inch and scribe a new line across there, and then I'll make my layout marks for the screws. There will also be one of these on each end at the far ends, and it will be marked off for a series of screws as well.